All right, Danny, we're recording.
Yay.
So, I'm trying to remember how we connected.
I think you sent an email to support at Crossmint.
Ah, that's what it was. Yeah, I was talking to a project that was, I think, utilizing Crossmint, and
Okay.
I was looking on your website, and I thought, man, this is pretty interesting stuff. It's lessening the friction in the space because
Yeah, definitely.
no Web3 wallet required, right?
That's pretty much the deal. And, like when I first got started with the company, I was like, oh, yeah, it's all about getting Web2 users involved and all this. And then when I bought my ETH Barcelona ticket, it was in USDC on Polygon. And it was like, by the time I could buy the ticket, I was like, this is so stupid. I wish I could have just bought it with a credit card.
I know it's like they make it so difficult.
And
Uh,
I'm like, and this is what I do, but
I
it's
know.
still annoying.
Well, therein lies the solution. It's like, oh, this is perfect. You know,
Yeah.
that's where you create the solution. So where are you at?
I'm based out of Austin. Crossmint headquarters is in Miami with an office in Madrid as well, and a bunch of people spread all over the place.
Okay, cool. So to give you some context, I came from the DeFi space, and I'm interviewing mostly experts in NFTs, metaverse, or blockchain-based businesses. And part of the reason for that is my own research, but also for viewers to gain some knowledge from people that have been there and done that, people that are actually working in the space, so that they can go out and
For
say, you
sure.
know what, I think I have a skill that I could utilize in the Web3 space, and hopefully they can do something.
Yeah, man, for sure.
So, Texas, all right. So, but it's a Florida-based company, you said?
Yeah, headquarters is in Miami.
Gotcha. How did you get connected with these guys?
So, gosh, it was about February. I've been kind of on a sabbatical, I guess you'd say. Just like have been doing software engineering 12, 13 years and kind of got bored. I was able to orchestrate a few things to step away from it for a while. And then started realizing I was like, okay, I'm ready to do something again, but I got to switch it up because I got bored before. So maybe I'll work on blockchain development and kind of still leverage all of my backgrounds, but work on something new, learn some new stuff. And I mean, Instagram must have heard me talking to my wife about it or something, because now I started seeing like NFT and crypto conferences being advertised to me constantly. And one of them popped up. It was a few weeks away in Miami called Miami NFT Week. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go check this out, learn some things, meet some people. And one of the people I met was Alfonso, the technical co-founder of Crossmint, and just kind of talked about my background. And then we shared info, and about a month later, I was working for him.
Right on. So, what are you doing for Crossmint?
Right. Well, it's a startup, so I'm doing a lot, a lot of things. But my official title is customer success engineer. So what that means in practice is, I mean, really what it is I try and be kind of the gate between customer support, enterprise, like sales, everything incoming, and internal engineering. So try to like hold as much of that back as possible so the internal core team can like focus on building the product, but still like provide technical, meaningful answers to these various channels. So that means a fair amount of customer support. I mostly do developer support. We already have like a pretty good customer support team that works with people buying through Crossmint. So there's like, it's kind of funny because we have a couple different tiers of customers, or not tiers, but styles rather. We have like developers who are setting up Crossmint, and then we have customers who are minting NFTs using Crossmint. And then we have like enterprise clients. So we already have like some people that help with the end users. And then me and a couple other people work more on helping developers if they get stuck, guiding them through the setup process. And really what we're trying to morph more of my role into is like being proactive about customer success. So instead of not just reacting to when a developer has a problem, in this case, like anticipating those problems and then already having the solutions in place. So that's where I'm trying to drive my focus as much as possible. But, like I said at the start episode, some days I do a lot of customer support, just trying to help people out. Other days I might do a lot of phone calls with enterprise clients, and then randomly a day will fall in my lap where I get to like just work on something.
Gotcha. What are some like enterprises or projects that are utilizing Crossmint that you can just name off the top of your head?
That I can name, right? That's the tricky part, because everything's like it's such a secret in this industry, until it's dropped. But we helped with the Kevin Hart NFT project. So another company was building out the smart contracts and like building out the interface, but we worked with them to set up Crossmint for payment. That was a pretty big one. Monko was an NFT project by David Cho, an artist. That was pretty big and Crossmint supported. We also worked with the Sylvester Stallone team for an NFT project. So those are all kind of ended up being like more celebrity options. In terms of like enterprise, there's nothing that's really like out yet that I know for sure I can talk about. All I can really say is I'm seeing like these weird, massive enterprise names. And even to me, I'm like, why do you guys want to do NFTs? Like, I don't even understand why you guys want to use this yet. But I think they just sense that it's shifting in that direction. And so they're being kind of smart and trying to like engage people who are doing this so that they can dabble with it and figure it out. So that I think a lot of the smarter enterprises realize that it's not figured out yet. Like, it's not clear. And so I suspect the thinking is like, let's kind of stumble a little bit or like try some things out so that by the time everybody gets this, we've already gone through all of the rough patches and we're ready to really capitalize. And maybe we've already exposed a lot of our customer base to what this means and how this works and that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Well, people are calling it a bear market, but I also hear that it's the build market. And it sounds like you guys are building solutions to make friction a lot less. I mean, especially, I had a friend reach out to me the other day and he goes, Ryan, do you have an NFT? And I'm like, not a PFP, not a profile pic NFT. I've minted my own on ZK Sync for, just try to figure it out. I've created business entities in Wyoming, using Web3 nice. And doing my own DAO, and I'm like, I'm just tinkering, I'm just having fun with it. But, part of it, I never really got into like the PFP NFTs. So like I didn't, I whitelisted for Moonbirds, but never got into Moonbirds. Man. Yeah. And then I was way too late for the game on CryptoPunks. I was just like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah. But at the time, like Moonbirds was only going to be, I think it was just 2.5 ETH at the time, which, was like $3,000 or $7,500 or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I might be able to see this. And my JP Morgan friend was just like, just do it, man, just do it. But I was kind of late. And then all of a sudden the floor price was just like,
Yeah. That's a tough thing, man. Like it's impossible. Not impossible, but it's tricky to know when the project's really going to do well. And if you want to be full on degen and just purely speculate on this stuff, then you got to take some risks, I guess. And even, at 2.5 ETH NFT, you're like, I don't know, man. Do I really want to drop $2,500 on this? Like, unless it's going to go up, I don't personally,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's expensive to flex, unless you're doing it through like there's some pretty cool projects where a DAO can collectively own an NFT type of stuff.
Yeah, like isn't it what's that? Is it Unicorn DAO? Like the chick that like she was in some band and started Unicorn DAO, I think, and they're like curating NFTs. And does that ring a bell for you?
I don't know about that one. The one that was coming to mind was Prism, and that was like kind of creating your own group collective to say, hey, we're interested in this particular project or
Okay.
NFT or
Cool.
something, and you have to buy an NFT so you can create your own Discord within their server, and then create your own group and stuff.
Gotcha.
But it's like, I don't know, they're kind of crossing some boundaries that I'm not really familiar with yet, with like funding rounds and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think that's one of the more compelling use cases, because like we had all the ICOs, which was just madness, and a bunch of companies got some pretty easy fundraising out of that. And I think NFTs are kind of like the next fundraiser under the radar tool. They'll probably get squashed down a little bit quicker, but I mean, most of these projects they're basically selling a roadmap and raising a couple $1,000,000 or a lot of $1,000,000. And then it's just a matter of seeing if they follow through. I don't know, like on the one hand, I can appreciate art for art's sake, but I think a lot of these projects are a little overpriced,
yeah, I think one part of it's like the speculative part of it, where they are flipping them. But I think also NFT holders should put a little bit more emphasis and pressure on the creators to demand some kind of utility, or something better with the community, rather than just like a pump and say, hey, here's a piece of art that you overpaid for.
See, that's this funny aspect of this space that I'm a little uncomfortable with, is as soon as anybody suggests that maybe they're not adhering to the roadmap, or they could do a little bit more, they label it FUD, and they're like, oh, get out of here. And it's like, and if everybody's not just like drinking the Kool-Aid, they're like kicked out, or just kind of like blackballed. And it makes me a little like, I mean, can we not raise valid concerns? And there's a lot of this, like, it's all about hype and community. And I think that's ultimately going to prove to be the downfall of some things, when nobody can, just fairly say that some things aren't looking right. But we will see.
I'm interested to see how these collectives will start utilizing Crossmint, or projects like Crossmint, at least, because I would imagine that maybe one of the friction points would be that if they can buy it with a credit card, maybe there's caps on what people can spend on their Visa or whatever, and that could pose an issue. But if you're doing it through your collective DAO, and you have equity rights to it and utility rights to it, and you're like, okay, me and 5 other people are going to buy this, and we have a multi-sig wallet, and we can change who gets to have the utility, and go to this event where, or whatever the case may be. I could see that being really useful, especially with Prism. I was talking to my JP Morgan buddy. I'm like, hey, do you want to do an experiment? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, it could be anything. But really, I'm like, he pointed me in the direction of kind of creating a collective where we could buy NFTs. And the platforms already exist. And so I thought, man, I could buy an NFT, create my collective guild or whatever, and we could I can't use that word. I got, collectively buy an NFT together. We're not partners. It's not, it's just...
Yeah. Just a fun game we all play.
Yeah, but plugging in Crossmint, I think that would lessen the friction quite a bit, especially if it's an expensive NFT and it's, $50,000 NFT, and we just have to...
That's an interesting use case. It'd be tricky to orchestrate, like, it sounds like what you're talking about. Say there's a $10,000 NFT and you get 4 of their friends and you're like, okay, well, I'll put down $2,000. That would be a tricky orchestration, even on our side, to take in multiple payments, aggregate them into a single buy. Like as of things today, that'd be a bunch of custom engineering on our side to prepare for something like that. Um,
Well, I mean, maybe that's the next step. I mean, because it's becoming more and more popular. It's people want to own an NFT. They want ownership rights to even flex. You could create a group NFT flexer, flex NFT. And that collective is going to buy some flex NFTs. But I imagine that will become more and more popular, especially with these more expensive digital collectibles, anyways.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because a lot of them are just out of reach, and for a lot of average consumers.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I am curious about integrating Crossmint into something like that, where so maybe since you have a background in it, I could do some research for you, and I could say, here's what I found out, and then you can tell me a little bit more. But what I do understand is, if I was using Prism and I created my collaborative group, and we were going to buy an NFT together. I mean, the NFT wouldn't be the purchase wouldn't be paid in portions, obviously, but it would probably go into like the DAO Treasury or something, and the DAO Treasury would then place that bid and then do it.
Yeah. So I think the way that you could go about that with something like Crossmint would be, you create your DAO and you sell NFTs to DAO members. And so maybe it's an ERC 1155 contract where you can have multiple editions and multiple types within the same contract. And you say, like, okay, let's all group together and buy this really cool $20,000 NFT. We're going to sell 10 $2,000, Ryan's Cool Group NFT. And then, so you set up your mint site. You and 9 of your friends buy with a credit card, $2,000 each. The way Crossmint works is like it's a standard contract. Like, we just interact with it using underlying libraries. So it looks, from the contract's perspective, it just looks like a wallet sending ETH to it. So the smart contract's just going through the logic, like, do I have enough ETH? Okay, this looks good. Are there enough tokens left? All right, let's increment the counter. Let's mint it, and let's send it to this address. So you could raise the ETH by selling your own NFT. That all goes into your DAO contract, and now you could create a proposal to vote to buy this other thing. And so you actually buy the big NFT with the ETH that came into your DAO through these other NFTs. That we could help you with. But like the orchestration of like all these payments, and it'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, you create a solution for that one thing that you're good at. You don't want to like.
But at the same time, like, we're definitely open to and constantly working on new features and what's next. And that's something that personally just took a lot of time to get used to, is how fast not just the company moves, but the entire industry. It astonishes me how often each week I'm talking to a customer or a client who's like, hey, yeah, I just need a little bit of help getting Crossmint set up. I'm like, great, let's do this. Like, okay, it launches tomorrow. I'm like, well, why are you talking to me today, man? Like, we should have been talking like at least last week. And in traditional software development, just be a showstopper and be like, no, that's not how this works. But for some reason in Web3, it's like there's this just so much momentum that things get done like crazy fast, which is good, but it also, it's a little sloppy at times.
Yeah, it's almost like Ethereum as a project. They're building the plane in mid-flight. And a lot of these projects, it seems like they're building mid-flight, or they have a product offering, but it's still mid-flight and they're still building it. Yeah,
I am really anxious and excited to see how this scheduled merge goes. And if it comes off, it sounds like the testnet merges are going well, and that's a big step. I think it probably won't change the game as much as everybody hopes. Maybe it'll pump the price or something, but like on a core technical level, it's just another milestone. There's a lot to be built still to get ETH to where it needs to be. But for whatever reason, there's just so much, I guess, TVL really in the system, because there's already other competitive blockchains that do what ETH2 wants to do and do it today, and arguably better. But, they don't have the millions of people already locked into the ecosystem. So there's this like inflection point, and if ETH can't get it together soon, if Ethereum can't do what they say they're going to do, one of these other chains is going to if they just cross a little bit and something starts to take over, I don't know, man. That'd be wild to see. Like, I don't expect it to happen, but there's already so much support for Solidity on all these other blockchains. So that was kind of their moat, in the sense that it's hard enough to find blockchain developers, and at least the majority of them tend to be Solidity developers. So, but now, like, you can create an EVM chain, your own layer one, you can solve a bunch of problems, and you can accept Solidity developers. I don't know, they're playing a dangerous game. I hope Ethereum makes it. Like, I like it a lot, but I don't know.
I know the space is evolving so quickly, it's hard to tell who the winners will be early on.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you about like the subject of fraud. So I think I remember reading on the site that when someone makes a purchase, because even though it's a card, the purchase is made final, correct? In other words, it's not a refund, right?
So fraud is actually one of the most interesting parts of all this, and one of the most unexpected challenges for me. So the way it works is, if you go to a minting site and you go to mint with a credit card, you put in your credit card details and you hit pay with credit card. We do check, we do sort of like a hold on your card, right? We're like, okay, the money is available. There's a payment intent here. Looks like this would go through. Then we go mint the NFT. And then as soon as that's successful, we're like, okay, boom, run that transaction and transfer the NFT into their custodial wallet. But there's a lot of surface area for fraud to come into play. Like, the most obvious one is there's a high dollar NFT project, or maybe not high dollar, but high value. And let's say the NFTs are $1,000, just to make it a nice, easy round number. And there's high confidence that, they don't even need to go up in value. As long as they retain their value for 24 hours, I could take a bunch of stolen credit cards, mint a bunch of these NFTs. And as long as you don't tip off all of our fraud detection stuff, and that you're able to export out of the wallet, now the NFT is gone, and the customer of that credit card has 120 days to dispute it. So there's a huge risk there. And for most of the projects we've done up until very recently, that's been a huge part of our value proposition. It's we shoulder the chargeback risk, so it's almost a no-brainer for any NFT project, unless they're just a diehard Web3 maximalist and big credit cards are evil, which would totally argue against. It just makes sense. The project, the fees are passed on to the buyer. We take on the chargeback risk. We're starting to have to renegotiate things because projects are coming to us and wanting to do $8,000 NFTs, and we're like, okay, but we gotta talk about the fraud risk here. And are you willing to shoulder some of that potential? So yeah, fraud is actually really challenging.
Yeah, actually the question kind of originated from something that I was really surprised of. I was using my hard wallet, and I was looking at an NFT that I received on the 13th, and I'm like, I haven't used this wallet in a couple months, and I'm like, I got an NFT, and it said Lido rewards, for staking ETH on Lido and having ST-ETH, right? And I'm like, LidoReward.com. I didn't go there, but I looked at the contract details and stuff, and then Etherscan was like, oh, this is like a phishing attempt, and I'm like, oh, okay, I won't be going to that site and minting, or I actually didn't know the next step. I'm like, like, I don't know if I want to do anything with my wallet because I'm not smart enough to really grasp all of that detail. But I would imagine that once I go to the site and then try to mint, or it said NFT received, but I don't know if I'd have to mint it. But I'd be granting access to a malicious smart contract that would then take all my funds.
Exactly. It's pretty scary how fast it happens and like how long it takes to really start to wrap your head around what the attack vectors are. And because you can kind of have like the perspective of, I'm just going to be ultra safe and never do anything, and then you're safe, but I guess you could potentially miss out on opportunities, but like really you'll even that discomfort you have to feel when you even are trying to do something that should be okay. But understanding how this stuff happens it's hard to wrap your head around. Like, it's so sneaky, and the way that they, like, scammers, there's a lot of psychological skill in the way they approach it. Like, they have a clear awareness of what motivates people, whether it's like money or status, or really those two are really strong levers, so they can just be like, hey, it's almost when they come on too strong with the offers that you're like, nah, that ain't right. Like, it's a pretty big red flag. But so many people, like, just this morning, I was a part of a situation where it was a Discord hack that stole login token and then spammed a message like, oh, join this whitelist. A couple people hit the whitelist, approved the transaction, drained the soul out of their wallet. And it's just that quick, it was shut down in minutes. Like, the whole thing lasted 3 minutes and like 5 people got hit with. Luckily, nobody really got murdered on it, but it's that fast. Like, and it just takes, from a spammer's perspective, you just have to, join servers, identify who to target, send them, it's just like kind of spray and pray, like just throw it out there and somebody's going to get hit, and it's clearly working, or people wouldn't be doing it.
I like that Crossmint is shouldering some of that risk, and then also you're having some of the projects with some of these higher end NFTs, that saying, hey, we should co-shoulder the risk here because this is like definitely a brand new space. But like the fact that you're offering a solution for people that want exposure to digital assets or digital art, but don't have the knowledge or know-how to operate their own self-custody wallet and their own funds because they just don't know. I mean, that's so much easier just to be like, oh, okay, I can buy it with a credit card, easy,
Yeah.
And now projects are looking at you guys like, oh, okay, well, we should definitely include our entire community, not just the people that have a Web3 wallet, but our entire community and people on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even talking to a few projects now where we're very likely going to be doing like credit card only projects. Like, you have to mint through Crossmint, and it's not us that like they want to do that, because a lot of it is a lot of traditional companies that are coming into this. They don't like the volatility of the ERC20 tokens or whatever the project may be on which chain it's on, and so like they're just so used to selling customers a product denominated in US dollars, and their customers expect that too, right? Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, you see like projects trying to do these like really sophisticated dynamic pricing things to keep the price close, and then there's obviously also projects trying to do NFT projects in like USDC, for example, so it's a stable coin. Those are a little more complicated to support. And now we're just seeing some that are like, can we just do $600? Like, can that be the price? And we have a few proposals in place to pull this off. So we'll see if, sometime in the next few weeks, we'll start seeing some projects doing minting only with Crossmint, which is crazy.
That would be pretty cool. That's interesting. Well, listen, I know we didn't put a whole lot of time on the clock, and I've got my next appointment, but I do want to connect again with you later, Danny. I feel like this has been really useful.
For sure, man. Just reach out at your convenience, and we'll set something up.
All right, man. Take care.
Later, Red.
Bye-bye.